Meteorologist Matthew East here with you in the Weather on the One's Forecast Center. This is your Wednesday, September the 2nd edition of your Carolina weather video. A very nice weather pattern unfolding here across the Carolinas. Again, today we had a comfortable start, lots of 50s for low temperatures this morning in the Piedmont zones. We'll do that again tonight. And really a fantastic day unfolding today as we have some really nice autumn-like weather that continues to really unravel and unfold for us here across the region. And a whole lot to talk about in the tropics. I'm going to get to that here in just a couple of moments, so hang on if that's what you're clicking onto the video for. A full tropical update here in just a second. High temperatures today across the country. Again, very, very nice across much of the eastern half of the United States. Lots of 70s and 80s with pretty low levels of humidity in much of the eastern half of the country. But you get down closer to the Gulf Coast, it gets a little muggier, and that's where your shower and storm chance is today. And very hot out west. Again, lots of 90s and some triple digits there. That is only aggravating the wildfire issues ongoing there in the western U.S. So for today, heat out west, cooler in the eastern part of the country again, and the best chance for showers and storms today is really from the Gulf Stream waters in the western Atlantic down across Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, tomorrow, still looks like we're going to see a little area of low pressure spin up close to the coast, and that could very well throw back some areas of rain and thunderstorm activity into the coastal plain of the Carolinas. I think the Piedmont and the mountain areas will stay dry with that low pressure as it scoots on by. Highs today, upper 70s in many Piedmont spots. Tomorrow looks like upper 70s to lower 80s, still low levels of humidity. Now, as we head on into the holiday weekend here, this is Friday. We're in good shape. Looks like a lot of sunshine Friday with high temperatures bumping up toward the mid-80s then Friday through the upcoming weekend. Looks like a lot of sunshine there for Saturday. Maybe a few more clouds on Sunday with highs in the 80s. Now, it's as we get into next week. Of course, a lot of folks with the day off Monday, and that's when the question marks begin to sort of roll in with the forecast as we begin to get some tropical influence, at least possibly see some tropical influences on our weather. So it looks like some clouds, maybe some shower chances begin to roll in Monday, and certainly a chance of some showers at times on Tuesday. And that's greatly going to depend on what in the longer term happens with Tropical Storm Erica. Erica is a pretty ill-defined tropical storm, at least in terms of its low-level center this morning. Boy, it looks healthy on the satellite imagery. Good looking outflow. No shear really affecting this system at all. It's continuing its battle with very dry air. That's been a problem for a lot of the tropical systems that we've seen. At least I haven't had many of them, but the ones we've had have had to battle some pretty dry air across the Atlantic Basin, and that's what's happening with Erica this morning. Again, the overall picture, you look at the satellite imagery, it looks very healthy. But again, we still have the low-level center toward the western side of all this convection, still a fairly lopsided tropical storm. But as long as it can maintain pretty good outflow, I think it can eventually begin to overcome some of that drier air. We will see. There's some of the computer model guidance in terms of the future track there of the tropical storm. And we sort of get a shotgun effect there as we get down today's 3 to 5, the solutions sort of fan out anywhere from Cuba to well northeast of the Bahamas. This is the National Hurricane Center forecast, and you compare that to the computer track guidance. They're really sort of right down the middle of that, and that's probably a good idea. That looks like a good track to me as of now, with a general northwesterly motion expected here for the next 4 or 5 days. Now, some interesting model solutions with where Erica eventually heads. Let's take a look at the Canadian first. Now, this is out at 144 hours. This would be early next work week. I guess that'd be Monday evening. I'm doing my math right there. And at that point in time, the Canadian has the tropical storm in the Bahamas, not far east of South Florida. From there, and I know this may be tough to see, the Canadian model moves Erica up to the Carolina coast. Looks like a landfall on the Canadian model coming up next Tuesday night or Wednesday morning on the South Carolina coast. And from there, the system lifts northward into Virginia by Wednesday evening. And of course, that would be a big problem for the Carolina coast if that track were to verify. But that's just one of many possibilities on the table. This is the European. Remember yesterday, the European was way out to sea with this. Now it's continued to cruise westward, and it now gets very, very close to the Outer Banks before it recurves it out to sea. So the European has trended westward in the past 24 hours. And now we'll take some of the other guidance here out to the end of their runs. This is the Hurricane Wharf. Pretty strong hurricane being indicated on the Hurricane Wharf out at 126 hours, and it has it northeast of the Bahamas. The no gaps, well northeast of the Bahamas, and it's putting it into a recurving position. Let's see. This is a look at the GFDL. It has it as a pretty good hurricane, pretty formidable hurricane as well, east of the Bahamas. This is a look at the GFS, and for whatever reason, the GFS really keeps Erica very, very weak. In fact, it has it as an open wave out the first part of next work week as this approaches the Bahamas. So the GFS is by far the weakest of the model solutions. So here are my thoughts on Erica right now. I think could see some slow strengthening of this. I think it has a pretty good chance of eventually becoming a hurricane. And like I've been saying this week, I think the general idea of a pretty good tropical system in or just east of the Bahamas this weekend is a pretty good idea. Where it goes from there is tough to say, but there is certainly a very real threat to the somewhere on the east coast of the U.S. As we get into next week. And this is probably going to be a headache. There's a pretty slow and erratic movement probably in Erica's future here. And it could wind up anywhere from Florida to out to sea. So it's just something we're going to have to keep watching very closely, and we will, of course, keep you updated. Very quickly here, let me show you what the eastern Atlantic looks like. Already watching our next pretty strong wave emerging off of Africa. A lot of the models try to develop that within the next week or so as well. And finally, Eastern Pacific. That is Hurricane Jimena. Jimena making landfall on the Baja Peninsula. Now, the good news is that Jimena has weakened down to a Category 2 hurricane, but still a lot of problems. Notice this is the 5-day track here, and this is really just going to very, very slowly meander around the Baja Peninsula, and that's going to cause lots and lots of flooding problems. That's going to be, I'm afraid, a pretty big problem over the next 5 to 7 days there for the Baja Peninsula. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Everyone have a wonderful Wednesday, and God bless.